My name is John Wilkes Booth. I was born on May 10th, 1838 in Maryland. I am the ninth of 10 children of Junius Booth and Mary Ann Holmes. I am an actor who is very loyal into his home state. I believe that there should be more state rights, and Abraham Lincoln, he was for everything I was against. What I am about to explain is a series of events I needed to do in order to save my country. You see, some friends and I wanted to kidnap Mr. Lincoln and bring him to the Confederate soldiers, but some days after the war he gave a speech saying that some blacks should have some voting rights. Can you imagine? It was outrageous. I decided that this needed to end once and for all. On April 14th, 1865 at 11 o'clock a.m., I paid a visit to Ford's Theater on 10th Street in Washington, D.C. I'm glad, too, because I learned that Lincoln would be attending the comedy Our American Cousin that night. Because I've been in that play before, I guessed what time the laughter from the audience would be the loudest. I then met with my co-conspirators and developed a plan. We decided that Lewis Powell and David Herold would stab the Secretary of State, William Stewart. George Atzerodt would murder the Vice President, Andrew Johnson. And I, John Wilkes Booth, would have the honor of ending Abraham Lincoln. At around 4 o'clock p.m., I wrote a letter to the editor of the National Intelligencer, Washington's newspaper, explaining my plans from kidnapping to killing. Along with mine, I included Powell, Herold, and Atzerodt's names at the bottom of the page. After I mailed my letter, I went back to Ford's Theater to walk through the steps I would take to enter, shoot, and exit the state box in which Mr. President will be seated. I went back to my hotel to eat dinner and then get ready. I dressed in all black and armed myself with a one-shot .44 caliber gun, a hunting knife, a compass, and my diary. Around 8 o'clock p.m., I met again with my fellow conspirators and we agreed to meet at the Navy Yard Bridge. Then I went back to Ford's Theater and had one of the employees there hold the horse I had rented earlier that morning. After a drink at the neighboring saloon, I went into Ford's Theater and entered a room behind the state box. I propped a music stand against the door, and at the right moment, I opened the door. I whispered, "Sic semper tyrannis," which is Latin for "thus always to tyrants," and shot Mr. Lincoln just behind his left ear. Henry Rathbone tried to fight me, but eventually I jumped off the stage and unfortunately broke my ankle. I flashed my knife at the audience and quickly escaped on my horse. I met up with Herold and we rode to Mary Surratt's tavern, where Mrs. Surratt allowed us to stay. We left for Dr. Samuel Mudd's home to treat my ankle early the next morning. On April 26, Herold and I were caught hiding in a barn at a farm near Port Royal, Virginia. Herold was a coward and surrendered, but I would never surrender. Those soldiers thought that even setting the barn on fire would make me quit. Then